One of the biggest reasons why I view the Clone Wars as one of the best pieces of Star Wars media is because of how well it enhances the prequel trilogy. It gives us a greater insight into what has happened between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and honestly, that insight is greatly needed. And it's needed because of the large amount of time as well as the events that have taken place between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. The Attack of the Clones, we see the start of the Clone War, and then we get to see the Clone War end in Episode 3. So we've missed a bulk of the entire war, only seeing a few battles like the Battle of Geonosis, and then we see the battle in Utapau, as well as the space battle above Coruscant. And so a series like the Clone Wars is needed in order to fill those gaps. So today I'm going to show you why, not really this episode in particular, but more so this arc from the Clone Wars series is one of the most important in the series. And the reason why it's so important is because it goes back to one of my biggest complaints about Revenge of the Sith. Now, Revenge of the Sith is obviously one of my favorite movies. I'm assuming it's probably one of your favorite movies considering you're watching this video. But one problem that I've always had with it was Anakin's turn to the dark side. I was never really convinced in his reasoning for turning to the dark side within the context that is given within the movies in the prequel trilogy. And so in Revenge of the Sith, we are given three main reasons as to why Anakin turns to the dark side and becomes Darth Vader. The first reason was the one right in your face, was Anakin was fearful of losing Padme. He had visions of his mother dying and she went on to die. Now he's having visions of Padme dying. And so he's going to do whatever he can to stop that from happening. Chancellor Palpatine comes out and says, "Hey bro, I can help you with that." The second reason that is given in Revenge of the Sith is the Jedi Council allows him to be on the council without giving him the rank of master. And it really is embarrassing that he's the only one ever to be allowed on the council, but is not given the rank of master. And lastly, the council did not trust him. We see that when Anakin told Mace Windu about Chancellor Palpatine being a Sith Lord, Mace Windu told him to, stay in the council chambers instead of going with him to arrest the Chancellor because he did not trust Anakin. And he even said, "If what you're telling me is true, then you will have earned my trust," implying that he really didn't trust him. And so while those are, very reasonable reasons as to why he would go to the dark side, I still have trouble believing that he could just, throw away the Jedi Order, kill younglings, and try to kill his master, his best friend, the one that was like a father to him. It's possible, of course, but I still see that as a very large jump. However, there is an arc in the Clone Wars series that shows us that this distrust that the Council has had in Anakin has been going on before the events in Revenge of the Sith. And so the arc I'm referring to is ObiWan Undercover. This is a 4-episode arc from Season 4, episodes 15, 16, 17, and 18. And obviously, spoiler warning if you have not seen this arc or these episodes before. But anyways, let's get into it. So this arc begins with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka walking down a street when out of nowhere a sniper starts taking shots at them. Obi-Wan decides to form a plan, however, he is then shot in the chest by the sniper, and he is presumed dead by, the viewer, as well as Anakin and Ahsoka. There is then a funeral for Obi-Wan, and then everyone believes him to be dead. However, as we all know, he is alive. Obi-Wan was wearing blaster-resistant armor and took a vital suppressor to make himself appear dead. Now, the Council had Obi-Wan fake his death and then alter both his face as well as his voice to look and sound like Rocco Hardin, who was the one who had actually shot Kenobi and believed he was dead as well. Now, all of this is being done as part of an undercover operation for Obi-Wan to get intel about a plot by the separatists to kidnap Chancellor Palpatine. And so every member of the Jedi Council is aware of this plot. However, Anakin is left in the dark, and I think you can probably see where I'm going with this. Obi-Wan would go on to tell Mace Windu and Yoda that Anakin believing that he was dead would help sell the shot because, quote, everyone knows how close we are. And I can understand that. I can understand that, initially it would be a good idea to keep Anakin and Ahsoka in the dark so that they can get that genuine reaction. However, the Council would go on to not tell Anakin any different. And so through this entire 4-episode arc, Anakin believes that his master, the one person he was closest to, was dead. We can then fast forward to the last episode in this arc, And, the plan worked. If you watch it, Obi-Wan in disguise was able to stop Moralo Uval and Cad Bane from kidnapping the Chancellor, and shortly after, Anakin then learns the truth that Obi-Wan was not dead after all. This then leads into a conversation between Anakin and Obi-Wan, where Anakin would go on to tell Obi-Wan that had he known what was going on, that he could have helped him, and said, quote, "Too bad the council didn't trust me." Obi-Wan would then go on to tell Anakin that the plan to keep the truth from him was his choice, and the reasoning why he chose to do this was because he believed that if Anakin believed Obi-Wan was dead, so would Dooku. Anakin, obviously being completely shocked by this, erupts saying, "You lied to me. How many other lies have I been told by the council? And how do I know that you even know the whole truth?" And that is the dialogue, that scene, that makes me really appreciate the Clone Wars. It is able to enhance the prequel trilogy by giving us a greater insight into the character. No longer can I really view Anakin's turn to the dark side as an event that takes place all at once in the span of one film, but his reasoning is built up on a history of the Jedi Council deceiving him. And it's probably a distrust that has been growing since he first arrived to Coruscant, when the Council initially did not want him to be trained. And the only reason that he was able to get trained was because Obi-Wan made a promise to Qui-Gon, and he was going to keep that promise regardless of what the Council thought. And so we get to see in this arc, within the final episode, that Anakin does not feel as if he can be trusted despite being such a great asset not only to the Jedi Order, but the Republic, as well as the commander of the 501st Legion. And even though he has gone above and beyond in everything that he has done, he still does not have the trust of the Council. And even if you agree with Obi-Wan and the Council to keep Anakin in the dark, still from Anakin's perspective, it shows that, regardless of how often he proves himself as not only a Jedi, but a commander in the Clone Wars, that, he's not being respected. He's not getting, the trust that he deserves. And not only does this arc add to the prequels by showing us this distrust that is being built between Anakin and the Council, but in this final episode of the ObiWan Undercover arc, we get to see how Chancellor Palpatine is able to take advantage of Anakin and point out this distrust. Later in this episode, after Anakin finds out the truth that Obi-Wan had faked his death, Anakin is walking with Chancellor Palpatine and says, "I must say, the lengths that the Jedi will go to is nothing short of incredible." And he was referring to, the plan of Obi-Wan going undercover. Palpatine then says, quote, "I assume the brilliant plan to disguise Obi-Wan was yours." Anakin then informs the Chancellor that he was in the dark, the same as everyone else. Palpatine then says he was under the impression that the Jedi worked as a team. And so Palpatine is able to confirm Anakin's feelings that, he's not really part of this team, and that he's not trusted by the Council. And that is just such an amazing scene that adds so much more, not only to the prequel trilogy, but also does a great job at showing the relationship between Palpatine and Anakin, and how between episodes 2 and 3, Palpatine was able to groom Anakin and made sure that Anakin knew how highly he thought of him. Because if you go back and watch episode 3, we're told that, Anakin and the Chancellor have a great relationship, but we never get to see that develop. We never get to see that relationship. We're just told that, they're close, they've been close, and he's always thought highly of him. And it's understandable how we never really get to see this relationship build to its fullest, because, again, the prequels are only 3 movies. And so just by looking at this arc from the Clone Wars, we get better insight, and it makes a lot more sense why Anakin's fall to the dark side seems so sudden. But, thanks to episodes like this, we all can understand it better, and it makes a lot more sense. So what do you think? What are some other examples from the Clone Wars that do a great job of providing greater insight into the prequels, or even the original trilogy? But anyways, that's it for today. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Thank you for sticking around, and have a good one.